All right, so today we're going over 3.4 and 3.5 in the Big Ideas book. And the purpose of today's lesson, we are looking at how do we interpret our intercepts and how do we interpret our slope. So if you look at the equation here, you're planning an awards banquet for your school. You need to rent a table to seat 180 people. Tables come in two sizes. Small tables seat 6 people and large tables seat 10 people. The equation is 6x plus 10y equals 180. Model the situation where x is the number of small tables and y is the number of large tables. So step 1, I'm going to identify my unknowns. I'm saying x stands for small tables and y stands for large tables. Okay, so the equation is 6x plus 10y equals 180. The first thing I'm going to do is, how do I want to graph this? Because the equation's given to me in standard form, I am going to graph it like I'm going to keep it in standard form, 6x plus 10y equals 180, and I'm going to use my intercepts. So if I want to find my x-intercept, I have to set y equal to 0, okay? So I'm doing 6x plus, oops, there should be a y there, 10 times 0 equals 180. So I get 6x equals 180, divide both sides by 6, and x is equal to 30, okay? So one thing that I'm seeing that kids are doing is when they solve using intercepts, they don't show this line right here. They're not showing this line where you substitute in the zeros. You have to show that. It's not, we have no idea how you get these answers. So what this really means is that when x is 30, what is your y? It would be that 0, right? Y is 0 because we substituted in that 0, and that is your x-intercept. Now we're going to do our y-intercept. Our y-intercept, we would set x equal to 0. So again, I'm still using the same equation, 6x plus 10y equals 180, and now I'm going to set the x equal to 0, so I'm doing 6 times 0 plus 10y equals 180. I end up with 10y equals 180, divide both sides by 10, and y is equal to 18. So that ordered pair for my y-intercept is when x is 0, y is 18. So now I'm able to graph. The first part of this says graph the equation. So I'm going to have my x and y axis. Actually, we are talking about tables. So I really don't need to do all 4 quadrants. I'm really only going to need the positive quadrant, quadrant 1, because x stands for small tables, y stands for large tables. I'm never going to have negatives. So it gives me the ability to just make a graph, right? It's a little bit bigger, showing the first quadrant, okay? So we said x stands for the small tables, and y stands for the large tables. Okay, and so on my x-axis, I have to go all the way up to, okay, so I have to go all the way up to 30. So I'm going to go 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 17. Okay, I'm going to make each line worth 5. So I'll say this is 10. This is 20, and this is 30, okay? And I'm going to make each one of these lines my my large has to go up to 20. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. I'm going to make each of these 2. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16. So I'm going here. This is 4. This is 6. 8. That's not working. No. Sorry. Let's see. I should have gone the other way. Whoops. Okay, so I'm going, forget this last one right over here. Okay, so I'm skipping 1, and I'm going to say this is 4. This is 8. This is 12. This is 16. And this is 18. So I'm going to make that a little bit clearer. Erase it. Okay. And I'm making that. There we go. And I'll make this one 18. So now what I've got, I can graph my intercepts, and so my x-intercept is 30. I'm going to graph it. I'm going to put a point at 30, 0. There's a point. I might as well make that red. And then my y-intercept is 18. It would go here. And then I basically can connect the points. And I connect the point. My graph does not go beyond those boundaries. All right, so now I've graphed the function. I used my intercepts to graph, and now I have to interpret the intercepts. So my y-intercept, or my x-intercept, let's start with that. My x-intercept is 30, 0. The first thing you need to do is identify what it is. Then you have to explain what it means. What does the 30 represent? The 30 represents I can rent 30 tables, 30 small tables, and 0 large tables. Okay, and for my y-intercept, I have to identify it first. The y-intercept is 0, 18, and what that really means is I can rent, not can't, that was can, rent 18 large tables. 18's in the Y, that sounds for large, tables, and 0 small tables. So I have these 2 different possibilities. That's what my x and y intercepts really stand for. The next part says find 4 possible solutions in the context of the problem. I'm going to pause that. All right, so now the next part says for part B, that was part A over here. Now part B says find 4 possible solutions in the context of the problem. So really I can use my graph to do that. So let's just say I'm looking for kind of where the boxes intersect. So if I go to 20 small, I have 2 possibilities. I could use the equation and plug 20 in for the small and solve for the y, or I can look at my graph. So if I move over 20 here, right, and then come up, I end up with right here. And that would be, so one possibility would be, and then I have another one where if I go over 10, if I use 10 small tables and I go up, I end up with 12 large. So some of my possibilities are 18 large and 0 small, I have, we said 10 small, and 12 large. That's because I'm following this, right? And then I've got my 20 small, right? 20 small and 6 large, so that would be 20 small and 6 large. And then we have, of course, our X-intercept, which is 30 small and 0 large. So this is how we interpret our intercepts and find 4 possibilities based on the graph. Okay? This is for section 3-4.